Well, good morning to you. It is Friday, the last day of the week, and of course, thank God it's Friday. You don't know how long this week has been. Anyway, we're looking at the headlines this morning on the front page review. My name is Gesire Agua. Of course, we're checking out the headlines, and this morning, in the headline, the president has jetted out to China on official visit to speak with the president, Xi Jinping in China. The China president will meet with the president and hold meetings with Chinese business leaders on the sidelines of the forum on China-Africa cooperation. We know that the president will also be discussing railway construction as well as there's been also the flurry of seizures of Nigerian assets by a Chinese firm, Zongshan Funcheng Industrial Investment Co. Limited. A French court recently ruled in favor of the firm and granted the seizure of presidential jets belonging to the Nigerian government. In that dispute involving an arbitration award, the court in Paris ruled in favor of the Chinese firm, allowing it to seize 3 presidential jets on top of other properties, Nigerian-owned properties cut across different parts of the world. Well, we'll watch and see how all this will play out with the president stopping over from China at the UAE. We'll watch and see how all that goes on. All right, before the president jetted out, he okayed a 50% electricity subsidy for public hospitals. Minister of the State for Health and Social Welfare, Tunji Alausa, announced this on Thursday at the National Neo-Psychiatric Hospital in Kaduna. The federal government has approved a 50% electricity subsidy for public hospitals across the country, and the minister commissioned the electronic health records and alternative power supply somewhere in Kaduna State. Now, Tunji Alausa, the Minister of State for Health, has said that this gesture of getting a 50% subsidy aims to reduce the running cost for public hospitals, and alleviate the impact on patients. He also announced plans to rename the hospitals as specialist hospitals. That's to broaden healthcare service delivery. He says we're going to change the names of our federal hospitals to specialist hospitals to expand care delivery and destigmatize hospitals so that everyone can come here. While the core services will remain psychiatric, this renaming will allow for the continuous expansion of services. Also, looking at the release of the kidnapped Dr. Ganiat Bola, he noted that the warning strike by resident doctors is complicating efforts to secure the release of that particular doctor. He appealed for calm and assured the hospital management that the abducted doctor would return. Still talking about that, the federal government has slammed a no work, no pay on striking doctors. Resident doctors across Nigeria, they commenced a 7-day strike on Monday to demand the release of an abducted doctor. The Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare has expressed disappointment over the decision by NARD to embark on a 7-day warning strike, despite pleas by the federal government to resolve its concerns and ensure continued industrial harmony. In a statement by the ministry's spokesman Adobako, the federal government evoked the no work, no pay policy for the number of days the strike would be observed, in line with extant labor laws. Resident doctors across Nigeria, they commenced that 7-day strike. And yesterday, Bako said over the past months, the ministry, in collaboration with relevant security agencies, have been working to rescue Bola, and high-level discussions and coordinated efforts are currently underway. This is also in lieu of the fact that the IGP, Kade Egbetokun, he has talked about the fact that he's vowing to get every single person who has been kidnapped so far released. He's planning to rescue every single kidnapped victim here in Nigeria. Well, that was his vow. We'll watch and see how that plays out for those who have been abducted and those who are abducting others. We'll watch and see if this thriving business will continue to thrive here in Nigeria. Joe Ajayi, yesterday, there was a procession that was held in his honor, following him to respond to the summons of the police? Well, he has described the police invitation as one of the hazards of being a labor leader, and he has said that his patriotism is unshakable. The president of the NLC has described the labor movement as the most patriotic organization in the country, promising that the union won't compromise its patriotism no matter the challenge it faces. Ajaero said this while addressing a crowd of labor members who gathered at the NLC headquarters to welcome him after honoring an invitation by the police on Thursday. The labor movement is worth dying for because of the patriotism and commitment. Labor movement is one of the biggest pan-Nigerian organizations. Our patriotism from the days of colonial government to even the period of the military is unshakable. He talks about the fact that the police invitation is one of the hazards of being a labor leader. If you can recall how even at unit level, he went to a cell under the late former head of state, General Sani Abacha, in the 90s. This is according to Joe Ajaero. He said the most important thing at the moment is that he's back to continue the struggle of demanding better welfare for workers across Nigeria, and they will not listen to any distractions. This is what he has said so far. Well, we also have the federal government and Boeing signing an MOU to boost the aviation sector. Well, the federal government has signed a memorandum of understanding with an aircraft manufacturer, Boeing, to boost the nation's aviation sector. Disclosing this in a statement on Thursday, SA2, the president on media and SA2, the Minister of Aviation on Media and Communication, Tunde Moshood, said the move would facilitate the acquisition of aircraft. He also said the MOU would help to improve Nigeria's aviation infrastructure and operational standards. The signing ceremony took place yesterday in Seattle, Washington, USA, in the presence of key Nigerian aviation stakeholders, including executives from major airlines here in Nigeria, the NCAA, and representatives of the AO and airline operators of Nigeria. That's what the statement has read. Meanwhile, I've got some voices in the news, and I'd like to touch like that for a bit. All right, we have a voice here. Is talking about the academic age limit. This is from Professor Gabriel Egbe, who's a provost and College of Postgraduate Students, Veritas University. He's talking about academic age limits. There must be a distinction between WAEC and JAM for students. This is what he said. But let's take a listen to just what he has to say about it.
We can get this thing clear. Generally speaking, globally, there is no age limit to enter university. Generally speaking. In fact, I want to start by giving us some details of people who have entered university at very early age and had PhDs at very early age. For example, we have Ruth Lawrence, who entered at the age of 10 and earned a PhD in mathematics from Harvard at 18. We have Kim On-young, who entered at age 4 and earned a PhD in physics from Stanford at 15. And then there are others like Terence Tao, who entered at 9, earned a PhD in mathematics from Princeton at 20. There are others who entered at the age of 6, like Michael Kenny, and got a degree in anthropology at the age of 18 from the University of South Alabama. And the list goes on like that. So the point of the matter is that age do have a complex relationship with academic achievement. And so, but there are several other factors that we can adduce for educational success and achievement. Even though in the UK, for example, for you to enter university, you have to be between the ages of 18 and 21. And the US is between 18 and 22. And that's because there are foundational courses you must have to go through, or college, or what we should have in Nigeria as a high school. And so that gives you the opportunity to get to a certain age before you get to the university. And in fact, of maturity that is expected of you before you can study such programs, like medicine and law. And that's why in some countries you have to, first of all, have a first degree another discipline before you can even study law or medicine. And at a certain age, you might have some difficulty. Having said that, I would like children who don't mature up to a certain age drop out of school. For example, the National Association for Gifted Children found that 25% of early entrants under 18 drop out of college in the first year. And that the percentage grew to 50% in the second year. Another study by Johns Hopkins University Center for Talented Youth found that 33% of those who enter college at the age below 18 drop out. And there are several other such research work, that have proved that those who go to school too early, especially in STEM areas, drop out of college. Although in Nigeria we haven't got a research that has actually looked at the age of learners and how they drop out of school, perhaps this new discussion will now push us to do research in that area to find out what is the dropout rate of students who enter school below 16 or below 18. I think that what the federal government has said, we need to put it into perspective. We need to separate WAEC from NECO and from JAM. And I don't think that it is okay for the government to tell students not to take exam, WAEC and NECO, before the age of 16 or 18. If it is about going to the university, yes, you can say you need a particular age like 18 so that the child matures both socially and emotionally before he gets to the university. Because at the level of the university, the student is on his own. You have an independent life. But at the level of secondary school, you are still being guided by a lot of persons, your parents and others. But a child can finish WAEC, but it doesn't mean that if you finish WAEC or NECO, you must necessarily go to the university.
All right, he's saying that students who are below the age of 18 should be allowed to write WAEC and NECO, but not JAM. That's another ball game entirely. I mean, this just keeps getting better and better. We're seeing different sides of this conversation. But we had ours yesterday with Larry Oguego. You want to check out our YouTube page. If you aren't already on the YouTube page, then you are wrong. Okay? You should check out our YouTube page. We're live on YouTube at Voice of the People Abuja. You can check out some of the old shows that we've done and catch up on what has been said so far. Meanwhile, there's another voice here talking about Yahaya Bello and just what went down in Kogi State due to while he was in power in Kogi State. Let's take a listen.
I was surprised, but not too surprised, because we all know that the politics of Kogi State has always been violent prone. That is what Yahaya Bello introduced to Kogi State. And
Yahaya Bello was, just for our international audience, the former governor
of Kogi State. Yes, the former governor of Kogi State. So, but what surprised me is for them to take that violence to the Supreme Court. That is the only surprise. But we hope that the federal government will look into this matter. If they fail to look into it, that will be the end of our democracy.
Yeah, I think you have a very solid point there. And do you know why they attacked you? Was it simply because you came to court to challenge the victim?
Friday was coordinated by the Commissioner for Environment, for Solid Mineral, Bashiru Gegu.
That's a direct allegation.
Yes, the camera, the CCTV camera, the Supreme Court can review their camera. He came, he shared money to the young boys there.
And you have evidence to support?
Of course, I have evidence. I'm not perturbed in any way by the action of the mob. I'm not. But my fear is, if we allow this to continue as a state, then there's no need for democracy.
Yeah, but what I don't understand is that they were victorious in court. I mean, what was the point of attacking you if they'd already won the case? Because
they are ill-informed. They are ill-informed. by those that sent them to come and took that action.
You mean they thought that perhaps they had lost the case?
I think so. It was clear. We have marshaled our evidence, we have marshaled our points. We're all looking forward to victory, but of course the Nigerian system failed us. And we're not,
right.
We're not against that because they are supreme because they are supreme.
Well, you have, if you recall, Dino Melaye had a court case. When journalists asked him about going to court, he says there was no need to go to court, that they, quote unquote, own the courts. Their boys are there. No need to waste money going to court. And then he jetted out and went. Plays out. And meanwhile, Yahaya Bello has to have his own field day in court. That case is still booming strong. Anyway, we'll try to contact Rufai Oseni right about now so we can have a conversation on just what exactly is going on in the country in terms of our headlines this morning. We'll try to get his 2 cents on our headlines. Of course, you can join the conversation on 0808 312 8618 0808 312 8618 is the number to call to be a part of the show. You are also live on YouTube. If you're live with us on YouTube, you can join us at Voice of the People Abuja, and you can call into the studio as well on that same number, 0808 312 8618. All right, good morning to you, Rufai. Welcome.
Morning, yes, sir.
Fine. Thank you so much. All right, so the president has jetted out to China and will do a stopover when he's done from Beijing. He'll do a stopover at the UAE, and there's been talks about the what do they call it, the railway. But I don't know, do you think the president will be discussing this issue with the Chinese company seizing our assets all over?
No, I think we'll discuss it with probably the Ministry of Trade at the ministerial level. There's no way I'm not going to bring it up, because we've constantly seen what had happened. And I'm even sure because they probably knew he was going to come to China. That's why, out of goodwill, they released these jets for him to be using. So I think they're definitely going to discuss it and going to find an amicable resolution. But the thing is, yes, they're also going to be having sort of like investment summit and signing bilateral. My charge is just that we should check those deals properly so that we don't sign out our future to China and the likes. And that's to be said. And let's just do well to be able to ensure that we help them coalesce and coordinate efforts appropriately. Those are just the things we'll do, because we need to sign up deals as regards the rail system and a couple of other deals. And also I look forward to a time where we will also be able to produce almost all those things we are going to sign deals for locally. I think that's going to be most importantly and most germane to our national development as a country.
All right. Before the president left yesterday, he okayed a 50% electricity subsidy for public hospitals cut across Nigeria. I mean, I don't know what you make of this.
My universities, that's a good one because the burden is so much on federal universities, especially. I think the guy who pay electricity bills. Unilag was on outage the other day because of electricity bills. So we've seen the state of the nation and all of that. So that's a good one. Also, he has to do something for the manufacturers because they too are being hard from all of this and costs are going up. And also, we need to do a lot more for the people. And also, probably maybe you should just put the general sweeping subsidy back, honestly.
I was going to say, because the cost or the effect of the subsidy removal on electricity it's hit every single person in one way or the other. Prices have skyrocketed. You can't have 20,000 naira electricity in your house for the month, especially if you have a family. It's ridiculous. So I don't know.
Maybe you should just get a sweeping subsidy across, That's just what we need to do. Because we need to stabilize things and the ecosystem, and it's not easy on most Nigerians as we speak.
Well, the argument would be that isn't it a step backward when we're trying to move forward and improve the electricity sector?
In the first place. He has not seen that's not viable. So that's what happens when you don't make policies effectively. When there's a big policy kerfuffle, let me use that word. You don't make policy. You don't think through policies. You just make them as you go on. It's not fair. Those are the things killing the country as we speak.
All right. Moving on, the federal government has slammed a no work, no pay um, on striking doctors. The NAD, the resident doctors across Nigeria, who commenced a 7-day strike on Monday
That's
to
not the way
demand the
to go.
release.
That's not the way to go. Engage them. Find solutions to Dr. Gania's proposed flights. No slap, no work, no pay. It's not that they don't want to work. Their colleagues can't be kidnapped and they will be looking. Injury to one is injury to all. It also happened in India when doctors were raped and everything. In fact, they shut down the whole country. They shut down the whole country recently when doctors were raped. They shut down the whole country. It happened in India just recently. We must be able to protect doctors. They are caregivers. And doctors are hard to find in any environment. So let's stop all of this high-handedness. Solve the problem. Call them. Negotiate with them. Tell them that, okay, we are listening. We are doing something. Guess the Dr. Pupola's people paid 40 million before their husband was released. They not still release Dr. Pupola as we speak. So
40
for over
million.
8 months. Over 8 months. Yes, they paid 40 million already in ransom. And this is a state that says that we don't people who don't pay ransom. Why have they not been able to track them out? So these are the things that we talk about that are wrong in the country.
I don't know. I don't know if this no work no pay is even effective at this point, or should even be evoked at this point, because you have a situation where someone was kidnapped, and that's a failure of the government. That's a failure of the security agency here in Nigeria. So I don't know why we're now evoking a no work no pay,
I don't
because
know. I don't know why the health ministry is trying to do that, but that's a dead playbook. It's all same old tired tricks. People strike, you don't even listen to their concerns. And it's not today, they've been advocating protesting as regards Dr. Kukwala. You didn't engage them. And they said they gave an ultimatum, they were going to go on strike. You didn't engage them. Now they're on strike, you're saying no work, no pay. What about Dr. Kukwala's life? Doesn't doctor's life matter? I support any RGO. Doctor's life matter. Yeah, it's bringing pain to all of us because we want to arrest a doctor, but it's not easy to on them. Doctors are being kidnapped in the hospital. People come into the hospital, pick up doctors and go. No security for doctors. These are the things.
but there's also the argument of other people, the for lack of a better word, the 99 others who need the services of resident doctors. I mean, as opposed to the one who has been kidnapped.
There's also the argument in the Bible that if 99 sheep are saved, Jesus will go all the way to look for that one. I've been up so.
Now, so, all right. Moving on to another headline this morning.
You didn't see that. You didn't see that.
I didn't see that coming.
Okay. Don't worry.
All right. So we have the Nigerian government issuing traders a 30-day ultimatum to crash prices. Rufai, yesterday I was reading something online, and there was talking about price disparity in the country, and there was this particular story about a particular blender that was found somewhere in Texas, in a supermarket chain in Texas in the United States. The fruit blender is called Ninja, and it was displayed on the shelf at $89, which is roughly about 140,000 naira, just 2 days ago. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, that same product was displayed at a supermarket in VI in Lagos for 949,999 naira on the same day at the same hour. This represents more than 500% inflation of the cost. Interestingly, when a little bit of research was done 2 weeks earlier, they found that particular blender with a price tag of 750,000 naira. So now the question is, how do we fix prices for goods in the country? How do we do that?
So the truth is, number one, I don't support price gouging. But the truth is, you have almost biblical proportions of inflation in Nigeria. Even when the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics said it's about 30 down, because when you look at the numbers, there's a huge disparity. Also, factor in the fact that the American economy gives a lot of subsidies to manufacturers and everything. that can also bring down the price of commodities. So there's something called Inflation Reduction Act in America. Price of drugs and things like that that are capped. That's why we say government should be able to spend money on the citizens. But here you don't have anything. And these are the pain people go through here. I don't support price gouging, but you can also fix prices. Prices are the full reflection of logistics, market costs, and things like that. Can you also ask the people that are crying as regards that do you know how many times the benchmark for dollar to naira went up in custom duties in the past how many months? It went up nothing less than 4-5 times. Today, from last year, if you were to check custom duties of about 700 or thereabout, or 600 or 400, it has gone up to about 1,000 something. So, and as at today's rates, if you are saying $89 minus all the encumbrances to ship it in and all of that, $89 itself times 1,600 or 700 is about 200,000. When you now edge for inflation, you edge for the rent you pay in VI, you edge for the things you do, you edge for how you have to freight it in with customs, all the palaver, you edge for the duty and everything. The cost goes up.
But Rufai, all the way to 1 million. All the way to 1 million.
No, you didn't hear my initial argument. I said I don't support price gouging. But this environment makes price gouging rife. That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay, so there's a price.
Take for instance, if you go to that supermarket, do you know how much they pay in taxes? Do you know how much they pay in rent space? Don't you know that the rent is ridiculous on the island? Or little or no infrastructure. The rent is ridiculous, it's not commensurate. So let's be realistic. And secondly, it's not a must that you must buy from that supermarket on the island. You can equally check it somewhere else. You can check e-commerce sites. You can choose to ship it in. So it's a free market economy. It's not that it's only that supermarket you must buy from.
All right. So, Rufai, there's a Price Control Act in Nigeria, right? It empowers the government to establish a maximum and minimum price limits for designated goods and services in the country. So
then you're not running a free market economy. See, we have done all of this before now. Yes, I keep telling you the days of SNCO, essential commodity.
Yes.
Where the government tried so much to fix prices, even bought commodities. So the government then, in their sheepish nature, thought the mindset was to buy the commodities themselves and retail it at certain price. It never worked because there's a free market logistics that applies. So let's stop deceiving. We deceive ourselves too much in this country. That's one thing we don't do well. We do well, I beg your pardon, Yari.
All right, but this issue of huge disparity in prices, there are a lot of business people who are taking advantage of it, right? We understand that the economy is doing what the economy is doing. There's inflation here and there, import duty and all that. We understand that, but there are still a lot of other people who are taking advantage of the situation to hike their prices to exorbitant levels.
Madam, let's not talk disparity in price. There's something called price segmentation. See, the price of a bottle of Coca-Cola in Marriott Hotel will be different from the price of a bottle of Coca-Cola in Yaola Food Canteen. That's justice. There's something called price segmentation. If you know you cannot buy in Marriott Hotel, then you can go to Yaola Food Canteen to buy the same Coke.
All right.
So it's not about it. There's a price segmentation. In Abuja, there's a difference between the price of what you buy in what's it called, Transcorp, and the price of what you buy in your local canteen. So if you now go to Transcorp to take picture and drink Coke and say I'm in Transcorp, and you complain that the price of things are expensive in Transcorp, you have no point to. Because you can as well go to your local canteen.
All right.
So it's a price segmentation. VI is an eyebrow. It's not that I'm making a case for price gouging. But these areas are eyebrow areas. These are penalties you pay to say you want to. And it's not a must that the person must go into that shop in VI. We make very good gari in my village. I don't eat eba that much. I don't even eat. I've not eaten eba in over 3 or 4 years due to my dietary requirements. But the truth has to be said. I've also seen supermarkets that people showed that imported gari from Ghana was selling to Ikoyi at a premium price. Do you think if I want to eat eba, when they have a gari factory in my village, I will go and buy it in Ikoyi? No, I will go and buy in my village. So there's a difference between segmentation and price gouging. That's just it.
All right. Finally, Rufai, before I let you go, the NLC leader, yesterday he was invited to answer questions on alleged involvement, terrorism financing, cybercrime, subversion, criminal conspiracy, treasonable felony, and all of that. So when he came out, he described the police invitation as one of the hazards of being a Labour leader. I mean, this isn't the first time he's had his own run-in with the law. During the General Sani Abacha times in the 90s, he went to cell under the late head of state. So I mean, I don't know if this is now a situation of witch hunting. There's not enough information to get to that level. But what do you make of this entire situation?
Do we tell ourselves the truth? That's one of the hazards. Is it supposed to be? Is it supposed to be? Is it supposed to be? No. But that's why people should encourage people like, what's it called? For narratives like this. That's why people should encourage people like, what's his name? Ajero. Because it's not today. Even when we had the colonial governments, people were always high-handed. What's his name? Pai Modu went to jail for a lot of years. A lot of the 1945 strike. So people were always high-handed. And that's why we must do everything to ensure that we bring about balance and stability. That's just it.
All right. All right. Thank you so much this weekend. We hope that you rest well and come on Monday strong.
My weekends are for service. So this weekend we're going to be setting up computers and laptops at the library and internet, Starlink, so that we can start training students for WAEC, so that they can start taking mock online exams for WAEC, so that their grades can be a lot better. So that's my work to be done this weekend.
All right.
That's advocacy for this weekend. So my weekend is all set already. It's a lot of work. It's going to be a working weekend.
All right.
Bless you. Have a great one yourself. Huh?
Thank you so much. All right.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Okay, to you listening, thank you so much for being a part of the show. I did call the phone number 0808-312-8618 to be a part of our conversation. 0808-312-8618. So many things happening cut across Nigeria. The president is in China. We have the president also giving 50% reduction subsidy for electricity. That's for hospitals and universities. Yes, hospitals and universities, College of Education, polytechnics, and the likes of that. Well, we also have the president, the federal government issuing a no work, no pay policy on the members of the National NAD who have embarked on a 7-day working strike. This is due to the kidnap of Ganiat Bola and her impending release. Hopefully, we see them being we see her and her child being released soonest. Now, the FCCP also has moved against profiteers engaging in the growing trend of unreasonable pricing of consumer products and services across the country. The CEO of the FCCPC Tunji Mbelo, has explained that the commission also came hard on unwholesome practice of market associations engaging in price fixing. So watch and see how all that plays out. I mean, Rufai makes a compelling argument, especially when you look at how much rent is in a certain area, how much is being spent. And sometimes when you go to some of these highbrow areas, you don't just pay for the food that you're eating, you pay for the ambience as well, you pay for the experience, you pay for the kind of people that you would probably run into in that kind of area. Anyway, we'll watch and see how all that plays out. Meanwhile, we have a phone call here. Hello.
Lady G. Good morning, my sister.
Adeomi, good morning.
Thank God it's Friday. Thank you, my darling sister. I greet Mr. Rufai. On this of this FCCPC by Mr. Tinubu is a laughable. You are giving ultimatum to market. I agree that we exploit ourselves too much in Nigeria. Truly, there is one man in a place called Karimo. He has kept bag of price over 200 before this year, since last year, and he's selling it in an exorbitant rate. In that aspect, I know he's cheating us. Let's say you buy at 60,000. For now, you are selling at 65. At least it's okay. But he is selling the same price that people who go to market yesterday are selling today. So on that. But on the government side, why can't they give ultimatum to all these NNPC, all these filling station owners? They are all billionaires. Imagine an owner. He has 46 filling stations in Abuja. Can't he consider Mattis? He will be the first person to increase fuel. All these big filling stations, they are all billionaires. Why can't they consider that my people are suffering? If government is wicked, why can't they also? We hear that land cost is was here about 600 and 700 or something. Why can't they use that? Even though if you make 10 naira in 1 liter of fuel, it's something. Look at bank, they will be exploiters. Happy birthday, they will remove your money. For 4 naira times 1 million people that did birthday in a day, somebody will pocket it. On that, if government wants to do the needful, I think they will bring the price of fuel down. That's where we need to start, because that's the excuse that the market has used. Thank you. Have a nice weekend, my sister.
All right. Thank you so much, Adeomi, for your time this morning. All right. To you listening, thank you so much for listening to Voice of the People, 96.1 FM on the 8 o'clock hour on the Arena. We'll be looking at this particular lady who threatened Yoruba and Benin people, talked about the fact that people should start poisoning them. There's a new twist to the story. We'll be bringing it out in just a moment. And for some reason, there's been an increase in hatred, tribalism, religion here in the country. We'll be looking at why that is and what we can do to even rein it in. Sometimes you might be on a path that you don't know is